This is not legal advice. I am not a lawyer. I am in no way, shape, or form, corporeal or otherwise, affiliated with PokeMMO, the game, the service, or the staff. This is merely a layman's review of the terms of service and a heads up to players who didn't read it. This is not an attack, threat, or disparagement of PokeMMO or its staff. This is entirely my opinion and mine alone. I repeat, this is not legal advice. I am not a lawyer. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. So this morning when I got up and logged on to PokeMMO, or attempted to log on to PokeMMO, I was prompted with a new terms of service that I needed to agree to. But before I agree to anything, I'm one of those crazy people who actually reads it. Insane, I know, but I did. And I would like to point out a few things that you might not have known about when you signed your rights away by clicking this button. But before we get to that, let's go over Section 1, Accounts and Eligibility, subsection J. All right, we're in subsection Accounts and Eligibility. Scroll down, J. We reserve the right to suspend, modify, or delete any account for any service and to terminate this agreement at any time for any reason, or no reason, with or without notice to you, for any amount of time. For purposes of explanation, most account suspensions are the result of rule breaking or fraudulent behavior. Let's break that down into simpler terms. PokeMMO can, will, and has banned accounts for, in their own words, no reason and without notice. Again, those are their own words and it's in the terms of service. Section 11, Consent to Monitor, subsection B. When running, the game client may monitor your computer's random access memory or RAM, running processes on your device, or otherwise scan your device to attempt to detect unauthorized third-party programs running concurrently with the game client. And subsection F. We may, with or without notice to you, disclose any information we've collected about you, including but not limited to Internet Protocol addresses, chat logs, personally identifiable information, submitted material, or any other information stored about your account activities requested by law enforcement, a court order, or other legal process. We believe that doing so may protect your safety or the safety of others, or you have violated this agreement. That was a lot, but in short, it means while the PokeMMO game client is running, it's constantly scraping your data, your personal information, payment information, all the programs on your computer, and at any moment without your knowledge, they may give all of the data to a third party. That sounds scary, and to some freedom-minded individuals like myself, it is. So back to the rights you signed away. What was it? Well, it's a little complicated since it's all in legalese, but in short, you're giving up your right to have a normal court proceeding and trial. See Section 14, Dispute Resolution. It's very long-winded, and it's all in lawyer speak, so I'll just summarize it here to the best of my ability, but please, if you're interested, go read it yourself. If something happens and PokeMMO sues you, or you need to sue PokeMMO, this is done through something called forced arbitration, which you agreed to when you clicked accept. If you find yourself in the unfortunate situation where you feel you've been damaged by PokeMMO, or on the flip side, PokeMMO feels that they have been damaged by you, before arbitration begins, an internal, informal dispute negotiation will take place for at least 60 days. This means you and the PokeMMO company will attempt to resolve the dispute privately. If an agreement cannot be reached, then arbitration will begin. Arbitration is not a courtroom or trial. It is usually ran by a third-party facilitator. In this case, PokeMMO suggests the use of something called jams, where your legal counsel or yourself will sit down with the PokeMMO legal counsel and a jam representative and attempt to reach an agreement. Jams is a private arbitration company, not a court of law. They handle disputes internally and claim neutrality. However, arbitration is not your friend as the consumer. Arbitration almost exclusively ends with the company getting its way, not you. It is a system designed to protect corporations from the court system and block your right to a fair and public trial. Like I said earlier, all of this sounds scary, and to someone like myself it is. But this is all boilerplate legal mumbo-jumbo that you'll see on almost every video game terms of service. Odds are you've agreed to contracts similar to this hundreds of times. If you're a regular video game player who just wants to kick back after work with a cold beer and some squirrel farming, then odds are you're never going to be affected by anything in these terms of service. Most people won't. It isn't anything to worry about, but if you're someone like me who values freedom highly and individual rights, then there is something you can do to protect yourself. Section 14, Dispute Resolution, subsection F. 30-day right to opt out. You have the right to opt out and not be bound by the arbitration agreement provisions by sending written notice of your decision to opt out to the following email address: legal@PokeMMO.com, using the subject line arbitration opt-out. The notice must be sent within 30 days of the date on which you first access or use the services and enter into this agreement. Otherwise, you shall be bound to arbitrate disputes in accordance with the terms of this Section 14. If you opt out of these arbitration provisions, we also will not be bound by them. In summation, you can simply opt out of the arbitration by sending an email to legal@PokeMMO.com and protect your right to a fair trial in a court of law. Now, with all of that out of the way, I would like to clarify a few things and give further opinion on why I made this video. Most people do not read the terms of service, so they wouldn't know that their accounts can be terminated with no reason given, or that by clicking accept, they've signed away valuable legal rights. Again, this is not legal advice in any way. It's just a layman's rundown of the terms, and a little tip on how you can reclaim your right to a trial if you choose to. This is not an attempt to smear, besmirch, or denigrate the PokeMMO company or its staff members, and it is most certainly not an attempt to scare the community away from playing the game. I agree to these terms. However, I did opt out of arbitration via email. Do I think I'm going to get sued by PokeMMO or ever sue them myself? Absolutely not. I'd just rather have a right retained than lose one, however improbable that it's needed. And as a wise man once said, it's better to have something and not need it than need it and not have it. I'm Maebari. This is a very boring and long-winded video. Thanks for watching. This is not legal advice. I am not a lawyer. I am in no way, shape, or form, corporeal or otherwise, affiliated with PokeMMO, the game, the service, or the staff. This is merely a layman's review of the terms of service and a heads up to players who didn't read it. This is not an attack, threat, or disparagement of PokeMMO or its staff. This is entirely my opinion and mine alone. I repeat, this is not legal advice. I am not a lawyer.